Alright, we back again. And I just finished my book on Nietzsche right here. Alright, what Nietzsche really said. Alright, let me show you real quick. What Nietzsche really said by Robert C. Holloman. Alright, and Kathleen M. Higgins. They are a married couple, so put it right here. Alright, lately I have become a Nietzsche, been investigating Nietzsche, wanting to see what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? At first I tried reading some of his books wholesale, but it was just too hard, it was too thick. Then I got a Nietzsche reader and stuff. It was a real short book, like about just over, like about 220, 215 pages. Alright. And that didn't work because he has a aphoristic writing style. An aphorism is basically pretty much like about a paragraph. Alright? Sometimes it can be a regular paragraph, like 4 to 5 sentences, or it might be a page, or it might be 2, 3 pages. Alright? But yeah, and he writes in this real dense style. Even though he made the paragraph maybe 4 to 5 sentences, but he says a whole lot within there. It's like layers upon layers upon layers and stuff. So I was kind of struggling, so I decided, well, let me get some books, people who've read and who will break it down. Alright? I did go initially to the very short introduction series. I read a lot of that stuff, and they really didn't help me. Alright? Normally those books help me, but for some reason the guy who wrote the Nietzsche book, it just didn't help. So I've been looking around for other little books that kind of summarize his stuff, and also have this other book here. Here's another book I ordered. Nietzsche, The Key Ideas by Roy Jackson from the Teach Yourself series. Alright, I'll be reading this. This has like all of the ideas and stuff, like amor fati, eternal recurrence, kind of breaks it down. Uses politics, reevaluation of values, the will of power, perspectivism, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna keep reading this. So this will help me out a little bit, because this guy, he is just really dense and hard. But these people, it really broke it down for me. It really changed things up for me. It turns out, they have a couple of videos on YouTube, and then they did have a series where both of them together have this lecture series, like the Great Courses. I started watching it, did not finish it. I'm probably going to have to go back to it because I think they had about 20-some episodes, so I got to about 13, and they're like half an hour long. So they're really good at. They're both Nietzsche scholars. Alright, they've both written books about Nietzsche. Like I said, they were both in this series, the Great Courses series, and it really helped me out. But yeah, they are really good. Let me just look at some of this stuff. This is, they really break it down to you. You can really tell that they really are scholars and stuff. And I'm going to check out the rest of this series of what people really said. Like, they have another thing, what Ford really said, what Young really said, what Darwin really said. I'm probably going to check out the Young thing, because the Jungian, he applies psychology to the world myths, and I like that. So I probably will be reading in the series, but it'll be Young. So I haven't really gotten to him yet, but I will read him because I've been interested in him. But anyway, so what Nietzsche really said by Robert C. Holloman and Kathleen M. Higgins, basically what they did was they like kind of really broke it down to you and came at Nietzsche from like all different angles. You know what I'm saying? So you could really see him. Like, well, let me just show you like the contents and stuff. You can see, well, I'll just tell you and stuff. Like, one, like the first section, right? The first chapter. It's rumors, wine, women, and Wagner. Okay, so basically they talk about all the rumors that have accumulated over the 100-something years that Nietzsche, people have been talking about Nietzsche, and how basically most of it was garbage and missed the way he really was. You know what I'm saying? So really he gets through all the junk. Basically pretty much, you know how like a lot of junk can accrue over the internet like that? You know, like someone spreads a false rumor about a celebrity and stuff, and the next thing you know, within a day, there's like 50,000 other rumors from all over the world and stuff, and you have to clean it all up. Well, it's kind of like the equivalent, but old school and stuff. You know, people just been writing books about them, books about them, books about them, and just been all these stuff, these rumors and lies and exaggerations, and they cleared it all up. They addressed, I mean, literally there was like, I believe there was like 50, hold up, because they go up into it. There was, okay, 30 rumors that they addressed. 30. Okay, so they were real thorough, and I ain't gonna lie. I did believe some of these rumors, but then they went into the reality of it and just dispersed everything. And I like that because it knocks down your preconceived notions and stuff. And let's be real, Nietzsche, they even talk about how a lot of people have been able, especially because of his writing, because he didn't, most of his books were in the aphoristic thing, so you just have these paragraphs from paragraphs, and he numbers them too. He separates them, he numbers them and stuff. So a lot of people just take an aphorism and then they put it over here, and then they distort it and put their own commentary on it and just distort it instead of just putting it within the book, which could be anywhere from 150, 300, 400, 500 pages long, and it'll be full of 80, 190 other aphorisms, and you have to look at. Basically, they show how people distort it. He's very easily distorted because he has this aphoristic thing, and yeah. But they dispel most of the ones, and I believe a lot of them myself. The next one, Faced with the Book by Nietzsche. Basically, that's where they go into each one of his books. Each one of his books that was published by him. And they kind of summarize and give the gist of it. You know, like some of the books I attempted, I can't even remember now, like Birth of Tragedy, Twilight of the Idols, and several other books I tried but gave up on, and then they summarized it and kind of get away. And then also they dispelled the whole thing about like the Will to Power. That was a book that was his sister came up with that. Basically, she took his notes and stuff that he had compiled over the years and stuff. She edited to what she wanted to and basically made propaganda for the Nazis. That's another thing. She's like the main one who kind of made him into like this Nazi figure and stuff, because she was still alive and stuff when the Nazis came about. She was very exploitative of him. Like after he his collapse in 1889, and then the rest of the 11 years, she literally used him as a museum piece. She moved him from the sanatorium where he was at, because he had the mental breakdown, and moved him into her house next to her, or her house, and basically had people come in, had him cleaned up, dressed him into like this big long white sheet, and would have him on display. But he was catatonic. After he had his collapse, he barely could talk. Alright? And I think for like a year he was still writing letters, but you could still see him losing whatever sanity he had. So yeah, she was very exploitive. So she was probably one of the main ones that messed up his whole image and stuff. You know, he would have despised the Nazis because he was straight. He despised anti-Semites. Oh yes, another thing with Wagner. You know, people like to paint Nietzsche as like this Wagner enthusiast, and he was initially, but then after about a decade, he saw how phony he was and stuff, and how he placates the audiences like a lot of pop musicians do today. And I saw how his initial admiration for him was misplaced. and how he was just this egotist and blowhard and stuff. So yeah, that was cleared up too in the rumors chapter. Going at what Nietzsche said, God is dead. Okay, he talks about how he clears up that whole. Well, the rest of the book he kind of goes into like some of like the major things about him, and that's one of the major things about him. He devotes a chapter to him, and basically, Nietzsche was not saying that God was dead, that there is no God and stuff. He just said that because of our context and our perspective with science and technology and exposure to other religions and blah 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 blah, God does not take on such a prominent and unquestioning position. So therefore, people in the modern day in the 1800s was losing their bearings, their compass and stuff in life. So his thing was, hey, we got to replace God, your religion, with something else that will give you stability mentally, and da 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 da. That's all he was talking about. He was not. He was not preaching atheism. That's another distortion. Nietzsche's war on morality. Yeah, that's another thing. That's where he has his how can I say, re-evaluation of values. That's kind of when he goes a little bit more into the whole Christianity thing. And God is dead. When he says specifically how Christianity is like a slave morality, where people have this whole weak thing. It's like it's like slave master, okay? And slaves, they're humble, they're submissive to the master, and basically people are trying to make their weakness this grand thing, and then the masters who demand obedience and punish you and da-da-da, those are the winners in life. He's saying, hey, and how the majority of people are trying to paint them as the bad guys, but they're the actual winners in life, and that's how people should be. Also, kind of goes into the Ubermensch or the Overman, and a lot of people have misinterpreted that as Superman. No, that's not it. Basically, it's pretty much being the best that you can be. Whatever is the best that you can do in life, whatever achievements that you can do, that you have the ability to do, or that your ambition can take you to. However you get there, whether it's based on your natural ability or your ambition, or your just natural ingenuity, way to network. Basically become the best person that you can be. Manifest yourself. That's all he's saying. It's pretty much like I would say like a self-help kind of goal. The ideal, your best self. What I'm saying? Just don't, as opposed to the herd man. The herd man, as opposed to Superman, is the person that just basically takes what life gives them. Whatever life gives them. You're born in this class, okay, I have to stay in this class. This is the religion people gave me, it's the culture people gave me, this is the job people gave me, and I'll just accept it. No. That's just the herd person who just goes around and get along. Okay? Just your average everyday Joe Blow, work, eat, sleep, that person and stuff. He also has another thing of people and trying to classify them and stuff. He has like the camel, the lion, and the child. The camel is also kind of parallel to the herd person. Basically, camels are just pack animals that you just put a load on and just push them, and then you tell them to stop. That's just like the average everyday man. So that's a camel. Lions are a little bit more. Because they just go out and get their food. You know what I'm saying? They know they're hungry. They know that they're big and strong, stronger than most animals, and they just go out and get them. That's the one who gets up and go, kind of like the overman, right? And then there's the child, saying, "Oh, the child, how's the child higher above? How can you get any higher than the lion?" Well, the child is a person who is kind of like more mental. They're more free with themselves. They still have a curiosity about life. They don't think that there's any barriers. They're still open to things, open to learning, open to improvement. So you can kind of see how they're kind of like a mystical, religious person, kind of, and stuff. But instead of like the lion who goes out and takes his thing, instead of working, they would just be the person who would just be like, well, I don't have to work. I could just go out here and, elevate and da-da-da. So, yeah, a lot of stuff just really got broken down. Also, like amor fati, which is like kind of like a love of life. Amor fati is kind of hard for me to explain. Let me kind of look again and find amor fati. Amor fati is, yeah, see, that's one of those difficult things that I just never could get to. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to master slave morality. Faces of resentment. Yeah. Eagles and lambs. Eagles and lambs, that's another thing. Lambs get led to slaughter. Eagles are a hunt thing. They come from above and they're above everyone and kind of get you down. Hold up, let me try to find this. Oh yes, amor fati. Basically the love of fate. Pretty much an free and easy attitude towards life. Kind of like the child. There's eternal recurrence. Another thing that I just really couldn't get. Basically, eternal recurrence is having to live your life over and over again. If you had to live your life over and over again, would you? Basically saying, have you lived your best life? Have you become the child or the Uberman? Okay? If the answer to that is no, then you're not living a good life. You know what I'm saying? So, it's basically like a thought experiment to get you to live your best life. There's a lot of ideas up in here that I did not get. Hold on, let me. Okay, and that's in the thing called Nietzsche's affirmative philosophy. So it's pretty much talking about like things that his ideas and how he was not this pessimistic philosopher. He was a philosopher that was pro-life and go out and get your life. But then he was also like, hey, any bad things that happen to you, take that as a learning experience and then push past it. Do not let the bad things that occur to you stop you. If anything, become stronger. Like I said, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, learn from it, and move on. Just like he's also saying, be a go-getter. You know what I'm saying? Just get up there and go get life. You know what I'm saying? And then don't let things tie you down. Like slave morality, like he says, of Christianity. All right? Be like the master. Don't be like the slave. Be like the master. Just go out there and get it. Become the Ubermensch and the lion and go get it. You know what I'm saying? And then after you achieve all this, then you can be the child and become a mystic and stuff. Like he says, the gay science. The gay science is another way of saying philosophy. Use philosophy to find your way and to get things into order in your head, come up with a plan, investigate, come up with a plan, and go out there and live it. Oh, yes. Here it is, perspectivism. It's another thing that I did not know about. I kind of got a hint of it when I was trying to read the full-fledged books, but I really couldn't tell what the hell he's talking about. Here's perspectivism. Basically, he's saying it's kind of relativism, but like instead of being relative, like a lot of people when they say relativism, they mean like, okay, different cultures have different views, or different religions. The cultures of each different religion have different views, or different ages have different time periods have different views, or different regions in the world have different views. What he says, not only that, but then also individuals. Because if you're rich today, right? And you're talking about a subject, you'll see it one way. But then if tomorrow you become poor, right? You come back to that same subject, you'll see it in a different way because your perspective has changed. You know, different things, how much money you make, what age you are, how you grow in life, if you're in a war zone or you're living in peace, if you're married, if you're single, whatever. There's tons of different factors that changes your perspective. Okay, it's just not things like your religion or your culture. Basically, there's tons of different contexts, not just between people or ages or regions or religions, but even within yourself. So, and that's something that people can do voluntarily on their own, or it just happens to them. So, and that's just with the individual person. Now when you think about religion, you think about class, you think about culture, you think about politics, you talk about eras in history, da-da-da. So it's all super relative, within yourself or outside. So, yeah, you don't have to be like a philosopher or a political scientist or whatever to have your perspective and for your perspective to change. So nothing is 100% objective, it's all subjective. Oh yes, reevaluation of values. Like I mentioned that before. He's really into, a lot of people think he's amoral. No, he's just saying the old values in Europe, his main talking about Europe, but he's saying the old values, Christianity in Europe, that promotes the slave morality of the submissive person and excoriates and scourges and puts down the the master morality. Throw that away. Just throw that away. Basically, we need to have new values, and you need as an individual. And then also he was saying the whole society, German society, European society, it's like we're in a new age, a new technology, new perspective, blah, 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 blah. We're meeting new people in different countries, different ethnic groups, religions, blah, 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 blah. So we need to just just throw away the old stuff and just start anew and reinvent values. So he's not saying don't have values. He's actually pro-values. He's just saying that the current ones that he was talking about, that he knew of, where he was at, were obsolete. So you need to reinvent. So he was not amoral. So, spirituality, he was kind of more this worldly. He was kind of like the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. He was like, why even talk about life after death or life before death or other realms and stuff, We're in this world, go ahead. Probably simplifying it, but yeah. I already talked about the Ubermensch, the will to power. Oh, yes, my fault. He had a book in the Department Smith chapter in here that, where this guy had a list of because Nietzsche, when you read his stuff, I also noticed this too, he attacks a lot of people. I mean, throughout history, not just current people, but even in the past, he attacks, hold on, let me go to the thing, because he has a list of them at the front of the chapter. So basically there's a top 10 and there's top 10 best and top 10 worst. And it's tripped out. A lot of people from his top 10 best and his top 10 worst are both on the same list. Okay, like Socrates, he goes after him hard. Wagner, like I said, he loved him at first and hated him. Kant, which is another guy that preceded him. Schopenhauer, he took a lot from Schopenhauer, but just like he admired Wagner in the beginning, but then he really saw, Schopenhauer and Wagner, they were both people who had great talent and stuff, but they were just blowhards. Really conceited people that after a little while, they just become bores. So yeah, they do that. And I think that, there was Darwin. He praises him, but then attacks him too. He loved the whole survival of the fittest thing, but said, hey, you took out people's bearing. also, but he was trying to take out people's marriage. Um, uh, you know, but yeah, there was a lot of people that he liked, and I was really surprised. Like, of course, he has his German people that he likes, like uh, he liked Luther because he was like, he really believed. That's another thing. Even though Nietzsche believed in the German culture, German nationalism, kind of, he was really more of a cultural nationalist. He believed that culture needs to be revived and you need to go back to the basics. And Martin Luther was like one of the main people that he loved to do that. Goethe was also another person he loved. Because Goethe, he went back into the folklore to write about Faust and stuff, and he likes that how you go back to the beginning to reinvent the new. Like he liked Dostoevsky. He said that he could learn more from him than going to any psychologist because he wrote psychological things and stuff. Also Emerson, that was totally another surprise. I did not know he liked Emerson, but it turns out he liked, because his whole transcendentalism, how you go beyond and stuff. That's because he believed in breaking barriers, so he liked that too. He liked Jesus, but that's because he felt like Jesus was breaking all the rules. Once again, he broke barriers to, he didn't let his environment keep him down, so he broke them. But at the same time, he may have, liked Jesus, but he hated Paul, St. Paul, the Pauline letters, that guy, because he believed that the same way Jesus broke ground, he believes Paul stifled that energy to break and transcend and stuff, and he went and systematized everything and said this and that, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and even though he said, hey, you don't have to be Jewish to be, follow of the way to follow Jesus, but because of his systematization and stuff, and he limited things, he stole and killed all of that transcendentness that Jesus brought forth. Shakespeare up in here, but I can't remember what he said about him. Oh yes, also I forgot Apollo and Dionysus. There was a big. That was his dynamic. Okay, so Apollo was the god of, basically, he represents order, right? But at the same time, stagnation. So he liked him, but kind of didn't like him, right? But he liked Dionysus a little bit more, because Dionysus was like the creative god and was like, had the energy and exuberance and stuff, even though he was about partying and stuff. But he liked that because also it was about creativity, creating plays and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? But he realized that sometimes that can be out of control. That's why he believed in those two things combined. You have to have the right combination. You have the right type of order, but you can't become stagnant. But then you have to have the right type of energy and creativity and willing to break the rules, but not get out of order and have a bunch of chaos and hurt yourself. So he liked them two things, but in unison and balanced and stuff. A lot of people, even though he did favor Dionysus a little bit more and stuff, but he knew the importance of both of them together and stuff. So a lot of people thought that he was promoting partying and stuff. No, he was just talking about creativity. And he's saying that's what the Greek tragedies got right, was the right combination of order and energy and creativity and stuff. The Greek tragedies, because basically you have these really great men who just achieved a whole lot, and a lot of them, they just break out of the ordinary and go have adventures or whatever, and steal fire from the gods or whatever and stuff, but they have some trait that brings them down. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he talks about. That's what he loves. So that's what you get. You got that orderly way to, you can go up great with the energy of Dionysus and do it organized with the organization of Apollo, but at the same time, you can fall because you're out of control with Dionysus and stuff. You can also get stagnant and be taken down and stuff. or live too high on a horse also, and stuff with the tragedies. So it just depends on the tragedy. But basically the whole Apollo Dionysian thing is not split, it's actually together. So you can go up and you can go down, and yeah, he really liked that. So, that was his thing. So, and of course, the usual philosophers, like Spinoza, he liked him. He liked Hegel. Well, no, he kind of hated Hegel, my fault. He also hated Luther also, because he thought that, eventually he became like a hypocrite and stuff, after he broke away from the Catholic Church with the 95 Thesis and started the Reformation, but then he just started another order, which stagnated. So, I forgot about that. Of course, the usual Greek people, Thucydides, Sophocles, sorry, I'm not Greek. He hated Plato, I forgot why. He hated Euripides, but yeah. Then at the end, he kind of concludes with a kind of a affirmation, like, basically, saying that Nietzsche opened up the modern mind, you know what I'm saying? He challenged, our usual ethics and conformity in our ways and said, hey, break out of that and create a new, so you can keep on going as individuals and as Germany as a society, Europe as a continent, and the world. You know what I'm saying? He thought everyone should just break out of it every day and go. That's what he was really about. At the end, it was kind of like this book right here, Nietzsche's Key Ideas, but it had this thing like, Nietzsche's bestiary, Glossary's favorite images and stuff. And that kind of broke down a lot of the stuff, because I read a lot of it and didn't know. Like, he used a lot of animal imagery, like birds to represent flight, to go up and break out of things. Of course, there was a camel I talked about earlier, cattle, which is herd people, but that was just a little bit more going. And then there was other symbols, like the ratney, the arrow, which was kind of like to represent unswerving movement, because like how the arrow just cuts through the air and goes straight to the target. The cave, which his thus spake Zarathustra was like kind of a play on Plato's cave, because he didn't like, he just didn't like Plato. So, whereas the cave was the place where people were chained up and were indoctrinated with the shadow projected on the wall and stuff, and that was the place of their ignorance, he took it as Zarathustra, which is Zoroaster and stuff. That's just a German way of saying Zoroaster religion. He went into a cave for 10 years, meditated, and was free. You know what I'm saying? And got all this knowledge. So he kind of flips out, like Plato's cave is ignorance, Zarathustra's cave was not only gaining knowledge, but transcendence and stuff. The child, decadence, he really did not like decadence. My fault, I forgot about that. He thought that with decadence, he didn't really like people who like lived high on the hog or lived like empty lives, like say, like kind of like the Gilded Age, where like, say he uses like, the statue of like, where like it's gold on the outside, but on the inside it's like wood or nothing at all and stuff, or it's just like a wooden statue, but then they put gold paint on it and stuff, but inside is just wood, and right. So he kind of like talks about decadence and how decadence, basically, when you have people that are beautiful and you're eating all this rich food and you have all this brand new technology, but on the inside, it's a decline. You become immoral and believe that you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Even though you're eating this rich food, but then you're getting fat and out of shape and da-da-da. When your morals decline, and then your output declines, and you're used to mediocrity and basically stagnation and stuff. That's why he didn't like decadence. Because everything looks pretty and beautiful, and and da-da-da, but it's actually rotten, and it's just a cover-up, and things are really in the negative or bad or weak or just crazy. Yeah, he had a lot of different stuff that I did not know of, and that kind of helped me a little bit. The Wanderer. Yes, the Wanderer, that's another thing. That's kind of like the child. Basically saying free. You know, and also that kind of with the gay science where you can not only study one subject, but then study another and stuff. But understand, one thing though, with the wondering and stuff, when you study this subject, that subject, and da-da-da, right, and you're free to do whatever you want to, actually apply that to your life, though. Just don't be happy with reading stuff, you know what I'm saying, or giving lectures and stuff. You have to apply it to life. You have to live it, you know, walk the walk and then talk the talk. So the Wanderer, that's another thing. When you're walking the walk, wander everywhere, you know, explore everywhere. Just don't become a success in this field. Become a success in how many other fields you want to. Or if you're going to explore and try out stuff, try out everything. Just don't try out one thing. So the Wanderer is kind of, you know, has no limits. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, basically, man, this book is great. Okay? And then it goes more in depth than those introductory series and stuff. So, yeah, you know, I believe, you know, check this out. I've been talking, looks like I've been talking here about over half an hour. But yeah, as far as the introductory book, I ain't gonna lie, this was great. I've read some other introductory books about him, like Nietzsche in 90 Minutes or How to Read Nietzsche and da-da-da, but they didn't go, I don't know, they just did not, they weren't as good as this. A lot of times they just hit a couple of the ideas and stuff and gave you a quick real summary. It wasn't in depth. This is. Because and then he's real, I like the way that these two people are real panoramic. They hit a lot of different stuff. And they really didn't talk about stuff, because I mean the book is like, the book itself, like the main stuff is like, I think 229 pages long, and then with the appendix, that's 242 pages, so it's not a really big book. And it goes into a lot of different stuff, like I said, expelled the rumors about him. It goes into each concept. It goes into his system and stuff. It goes into like who he supported and hated. It goes into his morality. It gives stuff about his life. It gives like a little short biography. I mean, this was thorough, and it was very easy to read. And then also it goes in depth, because it circles back around certain subjects again and builds on it. It also does this with books and stuff and concepts. You know what I'm saying? You can really tell that these are some true Nietzsche scholars. Just like I found out, they wrote a lot of books. I'm trying to read other books like Reading Nietzsche that these guys wrote. Like the guy, Robert Holloman by himself, and then Kathleen Higgins, she wrote one by herself. I think they wrote another one together and stuff. They're just Nietzsche scholars. You know what I'm saying? And they teach about it and stuff in their courses down in Austin, in Texas, University of Texas in Austin. So yeah, if you're having problems like I did with Nietzsche trying to read his stuff, get this book first, okay, and then go back and read his stuff and stuff. I'm gonna try to read this and do a thing about that to see if it helps and stuff. But yeah, so go ahead, read it. Hope you enjoy it.